Well guys, as promised, I'm doing a fish fry. Nobody's home but me right now, and I'm gonna try to have this ready for them when they get here for dinner. So I got all my ingredients gathered up and all my containers laid out. Get everything situated. I'm gonna switch you to the chest cam and let you watch me the way I normally prepare my fish. It's a pretty simple way. Doesn't have to be complicated, but it's my way and I've been doing it for years. Everybody loves it. I get a lot of requests for it, so it must be good. I'm gonna make a little bit of tartar sauce, try to make that easy for you too. Give it a try. Your family will love it. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start with tartar sauce. Now tartar sauce can be as complicated as you wanna make it, but this is how I make it. It's pretty simple. Just get them into kind of small pieces. And I cheat. I use this slap chop. And let's get a few of them at a time. And it'll get it real small for me. So once you cut them up, you'll kind of be able to gauge and judge how much you want to put in your tartar sauce. If you like it real oniony, you'll put more. If you like it less oniony, you'll put less. Typically, I like it pretty strong, so I usually use quite a bit of the ingredients that I set out. I've been doing this for a while, so I don't measure. Just kind of play by ear. Let me go rinse off this and we'll get back to it. Now that we've got our onions and pickles chopped up, I like to use olive oil mayo. It's just something I prefer the flavor and texture of. So I'll usually throw a couple of heaping tablespoons in there. Try about 3. And then we'll give that kind of a good mix. Kind of see what the consistency is, and that looks pretty good. I like it pretty chunky. I can smell the pickles and onions right now. All right, now you can put a little bit of lemon juice in this if you want to. I don't need it. I mean, it's not necessary. I don't have lemons with me right now, but I like a lot of salt and pepper. I use a fresh ground peppercorn, and you can pick these grinders up at Sam's Club for pretty cheap. Some fresh ground salt. I'll use that's the Himalayan sea salt, pink salt. You can use it whatever, sea salt, whatever. And then now that that's made up, we're gonna use it here shortly, so I'm just gonna throw it in the fridge. Well, this is my favorite right here, and I usually add a little bit of cayenne pepper to it, give it a little bit of kick, and I'll add a little bit of Tony's Hatcheries to give it a little bit more flavor. I cook all my fish in peanut oil. I suggest you do that as well. From what I understand, the peanut oil takes away any fishy smell or some of that fishy smell. It's just better for cooking fish in. You might do some research on that and see what you think about what you find out about it. So I've got a tub of fillets here. This is about half dozen crappie we caught on New Year's Day. And what I typically do with my fillets, after I clean them and wash them, I soak them in a little bit of salty water. I soak these overnight, and I'm gonna put the fillets in mustard water. Now, this is typical of maybe more of a fishier fish, the striped bass, catfish. You know, not necessarily crappie. You don't necessarily need to put crappie in mustard water. But something about that mustard water takes out the fishy smell and taste of that fish, and it does work. So we're gonna let that soak for just a minute, and I'm gonna get the rest of my bowls filled up with their ingredients, and we'll move to the next step. So went ahead and added my peanut oil to my cast iron skillet, and we got the stove on low. We're just gonna let that start to warm up. I'll turn it up to about 2. I hate cooking on electric, guys. If you cook, everybody that cooks knows cooking on electric is terrible, but it's just what I have for now. We're gonna make it work. So open up this bag of fish fry. Get it poured up in here. And we're gonna add a little bit of Tony Chachere's in there. Give it a little bit more flavor. I'm gonna add a little bit of cayenne pepper. Now I'll add a little more when it's just me and the grown-ups, me and my wife, or my parents. But if they come into town or whatever, but if I got the kids, I won't put too much cayenne. Especially the little ones, they throw a fit.
It's too spicy.
Get that mixed up pretty good. Settle it out. Now one thing I see a lot of guys doing is they pat dry their fillets. Well, I don't do that. So, and I'll show you what I do here. I added milk to that second bowl. So I go from the mustard water, I drain off the fillets, I put them in the milk, and then I drain off the milk, I put them in the batter, and I mix that around, and I let the fillets get really coated, and then I take them straight over to the hot oil. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a glass bowl, and I just line that with paper towels. That gives me a place to drop the fish when it comes out of the bowl, out of the hot oil. And now we're just going to let the oil heat up. I'm going to heat it up gradually. The more gradual I heat that, the less the house smells like oil and burning and everything else. So let's let that heat up and we'll start to drop fish. Move everything a little bit closer. There we go. So it's a real simple process, guys. Mustard water, milk, batter, oil, basket. I have a little screened in basket that I use to dip the fish out of the oil. And I do, a few pieces at a time, not too many at a time. That way it doesn't drop a lot of batter down into the bottom of the oil and start to burn. And we just let that go. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven on convection bake and go to 350. Because I like to serve the family fries with the fish. And I use Famous, those brands. So I'll give you guys an idea of what I like to use for that. And we'll let this oil get hot. These were the fries I was telling you about. That's the brand. I like the seasoned ones. Man, those they turn out real crispy. If you use the convection setting on your oven, it has a fan in the back. What that does is it circulates the heat evenly all throughout the oven instead of cooking from the bottom up like traditional bake. If you do that, it takes a little bit longer on the fries, but it gets them more crispy. So they don't taste mushy like normally fries would out of the oven. So let's let the oven heat up and let the oil heat up. We'll get to cooking some fish. So I poured me a Victoria. So if you ain't never had a Victoria, you need to give that a try. I'm not a drinker. I get a 6-pack of those things that last me 2 months, but every now and then when I cook out, I like to have one, just while I'm working. And that's a Mexican beer right there. It's made by the Modelo company. So it's a really good beer. If you like beer. I don't, but it's about the best it's going to get for me. Let's get this over here out of the way. Get these fries spread out on this cookie sheet. I like to spread them out as thin as I can get them so that the most air I can get to each fry I get. I'll drop some on the floor. That means Bob's gonna get them. Where you at, Bob? Where you at, Bob? There's Bob. Hey, I dropped the fry. You want it? It's frozen. You want that fry? What is that? Ooh, a frozen fry. Here he goes. Man, that could be my yak dog, but, well, he's kind of skittish, so I don't think he'd do good on the kayak. I don't have a yak dog. Let's get these in here. Go ahead and let them start working out. Throw this stuff away and get back on this fish. Alright, now I don't know, you guys have probably seen this done, but what you can do sometimes, take a little bit of this breading or cornmeal, just drop it in the oil, see how it responds. It's pretty warm. It's not as hot as I want it to be yet, so we're going to give it a little bit longer. I want to see some sizzle, just a little bit of sizzle. We're close. You should run the electric stove on 8 to get started. And then if you have a big batch where you've got more than, let's say, a family of 4, let's say you're feeding a fish fry for a bunch of people, you're going to have to manipulate that heat dial between 7 and 9 back and forth. Once you get started, it's going to go too hot, and you're going to have to back the heat down. And then when you take a batch out, and put a new batch in, that new batch is going to cool down the oil real fast, and you're going to have to bring the heat up. So you got to have a fine balance between having it too hot when you drop it, but not having it too cool where the fish is like a soggy-ish. So it's kind of like a fine balance. Like I said, it's much better to cook fish with open flame. The cast iron helps a lot because it retains heat. So it's going to help you manage the heat a lot better than, say, one of those Rachel Ray or Paula Deen skillets. Those things are great for non-stick, but they're terrible for heat retention and watching your temperature. So we'll give this just a few more minutes. It's getting pretty good. It's getting pretty close. And then we'll start dropping fish. Alright guys, I don't have the kids here today, so I'm going to go ahead and cook these crappie in whole fillets. Usually I'll chop these up in nugget sized pieces. The kids tend to like that better. But what I do is I just pull it out and just kind of squeeze it a little bit and drain off the mustard water and move it over to the milk. Just like that. And we'll just get that off of there. Squeeze it a little bit. Let it get out from between the cracks and crevices. Soak it down in the milk a little bit. Alright. And then I like to bring it out of here and let it drain off in my hands. Squeeze it a little bit. Get the excess off of it. Now, I do not pat it dry. I see a lot of guys do that. I do not. Drop it right in there and just stir it up. I use my fingers in a bowl versus a Ziploc bag. Just a preference. Just something I like to do. It makes a mess sometimes, but who cares? That's what rags and Windex is for. Alright guys. My fillets are going to be good and coated. And let them just kind of sit there and do that while I rinse off my hands, and I'll be right back. Alright guys. We're ready to start dropping this fish. Let's just drop one piece in there and test this oil. Now, I worked in the restaurant business. I owned a restaurant, so I don't measure. I just play it by ear. But I've been doing it a long time, so I just kind of feel like I can do that. If you'd like to, get you an oil thermometer and make sure your oil's 350. I understand. Make sure you want to make sure all your ratios are what you want them to be. I also understand. And we'll go from there. Like I said, I don't cook too many at a time. That way I can control how much batter falls off, and I can control the temp, and I can keep the oil kind of deep in a pan. It makes a mess in this electric skillet, I ain't even lying. Or electric stove. So one thing I don't like about it is how big of a mess it makes. I got me a fish fryer out in the garage. I just really hadn't gotten it out and fired it up. Now again, I don't watch time on this. I just kind of keep an eye on it. When it gets to that golden color that I like to see my fish, I pull it out. So this is where I want to bring the oil temp down right now. That next batch will burn up if I don't. It's about time to take her out. Drop it in the basket. Alright. Usually in between takes, I like to wipe the oil off the stove. It'll get to smoking if you don't. Kind of come around here and kind of wipe her down. Still smokes a little bit, but part of cooking inside the house. Got to be ready for that. Just drop a couple new pieces. Drop a couple new ones. Now, if you find a piece of fish that isn't coated good, you can just roll it around in there. Get a little bit extra coating on there. That's thick. These are some bigger crappies, so these fillets are pretty good size. A lot of times, like I said, when I'm fishing, cooking fish, I use nugget size pieces for the kids, and I don't have to deal with that as much. But these are bigger fish, so bigger fillets. So I'm gonna cook a couple at a time. Just kind of move slow. All right, I'm pulling my last piece of fish out the fire right now. Get it up in this bowl. What I like to do after I get my fish out, because I'm always waiting on fries. I don't know why, but I'm always waiting on fries. Just cover up my fish, stick it in the microwave. And now this is a secret. No, it's not really a secret. It's just something I do no one else seems to do. So I kind of can't consider it a secret. I know my family loves it. So here's one thing I do every fish fry, and I suggest you do it as well. And your family's gonna love you for it. Friends too. Use all natural honey. Kelly's, that's the brand. It's made here in Texas somewhere. And where does it say? Didn't say. But anyway, I like to use this all natural honey. But what I do is I take a can of regular biscuits. And any biscuits will do, just not the layered kind, not the flaky kind. You want the regular old buttermilk biscuits. And what you do is, if you've ever made homemade donuts before, it's kind of the same theory. So what you want to do is, you want to take your biscuits and you want to drop them in that hot oil. And here's something you need to know about that. Everybody loves it if you don't mess it up. And the key to not messing it up is staying on top of it, as they cook with the quickness. When I say with the quickness, I mean like I probably shouldn't even put that whole can in there at the same time. I get a fork and I'll flip them. And you watch that. Look how fast these things brown. I just dropped them and they're already brown. You want to make sure they get done in the middle, but you got to keep them going. Got to keep them rolling. Keep them rolling. Man, I'll tell you what, this will be the favorite thing your family will have all night long. They may like your fish, they might like your tartar sauce, they may like your fries, they may like some other stuff you made, whatever, dessert, whatever. This will be their favorite thing. Right here. I guarantee it. You take these biscuits and you roll that over. Dip them in honey, kind of like a sopapilla. And they are so good. You gotta be careful though, make sure they get done, but you can kind of tell by looking on the outside that they're done. They don't take long. If you leave them in there too long, they're ruined. There we go. Got them all out. You could sprinkle a little powdered sugar on there if you wanted, but honestly, the honey's all you need. And there it is, guys. I'll stick these in here in that microwave with the fish. Just let those stay warm too. Kill the heat. Check the fries. Yep, they're still soft. So you got a few more minutes to wait on fries. Let your oil cool down. Start to clean up your counters and your stove a little bit. Give it a minute. Hey Bob, those fries are not for you. I know, but you can't have none. All right, I'll get back with you guys when I plate this stuff. Won't we, Bob? Grab the fries out of the oven. I'm just gonna use a pair of tongs and get them off this cookie sheet because they are hot. Put them in this bowl. I'm not a big fan of grease or greasiness. So I always use a little bit of paper towels to soak up any excess grease. I don't eat a lot of fried food and stuff like that, so don't want a bunch of grease. Not that these have a whole lot, especially baked in the oven. But get them off of here and get them in this bowl. Get them on the table. You never have enough Tony Satcheries on nothing. There we go. Get them fries out of there. And you guys knew I was going to use a lime green bowl. I know you knew that. So, lime green, if you didn't know, green is my favorite color. So put them lime green over there. Lime green bowl. All right. Get these biscuits out and get them on the table. Oh, I can't wait to get into that. Right there. And then, obviously, all this crappie. That crappie. Get us some plates. Put the honey on the table. You know what? Let's run that in the microwave for about 2 seconds. Run that honey in the microwave for a couple seconds. Let that get. Now, if you notice, I cooked a bunch of fish and my skillet doesn't have a lot of debris in the bottom. I think that's because I don't pat dry off my fillets, and I let them accumulate the moisture to hold the batter to the fish. So I don't know. That's how I do it. Put Tony Satchery's there. Got the dog's toy in the floor. That's his little dragon. He loves to chew his toys and drag them all over the house. All right, got me a drink. Get Mama a drink. She's in there cleaning up after work. She don't really want to be on camera. I don't blame her. Not after a long day. Got that tartar sauce out. Put that on the table. Now, one thing we do around my house, I don't know about your house, I ain't washing dishes, so we're going to use paper plates. So I will double them up sometime so that they're stronger, depending on what I'm eating. But we don't really need forks. Everything's a finger food, and there it is. And hey, before she gets in here, I'm gonna have one of these biscuits.